Hi guys, Mr. Escox Life Science 7A. Coming back to you guys, we're talking about the six kingdoms today. We've been talking about taxonomy and we did the seven levels the other day. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and the most specific of all, the species. The species is the most specific. So today we're going to get into these kingdoms. Now, there used to be five kingdoms, which in your book, but they've since split the one kingdom, which used to be called Monarin, into a sixth kingdom. So you'll notice that some of the stuff you may have to correct your note packets because I made them when I got these books. And then you'll have the review on 125 as the homework with this section. So there used to be five kingdoms. Today we have six. So it's actually grown from the time of Aristotle. Aristotle put everything as animal or plant. We know there are more than just animals and plants, and this modern system was started by Robert Whittaker, and it kind of expanded from there. Robert Whittaker was the one who actually said, does it have a nucleus or not? So we have two kingdoms that don't have a nucleus that used to be qualified as the prokaryotes, and those were the monarins, but now we've broken those monarins into what we call bacteria and archaea. And this also will look at how organisms get their energy. So they can be either a heterotroph where they feed on something, or they're an autotroph where they make their own food. Within bacteria and archaea, there's many different ways of getting energy. So this original Monarin kingdom, everything that was single-celled and didn't have a nucleus was a Monarin. The big key, single-celled, and then no nucleus. But scientists studied the DNA of both of them, and they found that archaea is older and bacteria evolved from archaea, and that the way that bacteria actually make their proteins is more similar to protists and the rest of the life on Earth than anywhere else. So we have archaea, which are ancient. They live in very, very horrible places. We have bacteria, which you most commonly think of when you get sick, and we lead into protista. Now, there are three main groups of protists. Animal-like protists, which we think are the first animal-like organisms on Earth. We have the algae, or phytoplankton, which we think eventually evolved into plants. And then there are one called fungus-like. And if you look up here, this is a slime mold, often called dog vomit. That dog vomit slime mold is actually a fungus-like protist. And sometimes you'll hear about water mold or ick in your fish tank. That's actually a parasitic fungus-like protist that can cause your fish to die. So we'll just label these out real quick so you know what these are. This is dog vomit slime mold. This is a paramecium. That is a protozoan or first animal. They move around and find food. This is an amoeba. And this is just plain old algae. But all of these are in the kingdom Protista. The big difference between Protista and archaea and bacteria, because archaea and bacteria are single-celled and protists are mostly single-celled. Protista have a nucleus. Very important that you remember that Protista is the first kingdom to have a nucleus. The next kingdom are the fungi. You know, more than just some guy at a party, these fungi are actually the fungus kingdom. They can be single-celled, such as these yeast that your grandma might use when she bakes bread. They, and then mold and mildew. You all probably have had bread go mold in your refrigerator. That's literally the fungus trying to break it down. Um, Yeast is a single-celled fungus. Mushrooms and mold are much larger. In fact, the largest organism on Earth, we believe, is a type of mushroom that can grow to be several hundred yards in length, all underground. You can't see it. The kingdom Plantae, I'm sure you're familiar with plants. This is going to have plant cell walls. Plants are multicellular and plants have a nucleus. Fungus, protists, plants, and animals all have a nucleus. And to be a plant, you must make your food from photosynthesis. Because you've used photosynthesis, you have chlorophyll, and that chlorophyll is found in your leaves. We had that in the chapter on cells. Then the last kingdom, Animalia. These are your animals. I can't spend a ton of time on animals. Animals have a nucleus. Animals do not have a cell wall. They move around and they cannot make their own food. This is a drawing that I put on the whiteboard. Basically, they have this thing that they're last ultimate common ancestor. We think that this first organism on Earth came to be about 3.8 billion years ago. And it was probably some sort of archaea. And as the archaea evolved, this bacteria evolved out of it. And then Protista evolved from the archaea. And then there's the fungus-like Protista, plant-like Protista, and the animal-like. Well, the fungus-like are called slime molds, plant-like are archaea, and the animal-like are what we call protozoans. The fungus-like are the evolutionary jump between protists and fungi. Plant-like eventually become plants, and animal-like eventually become animals. Now, we're not talking about overnight. We're talking about millions, sometimes billions of years in the process. So, what kingdom is it in? Each one of these is fit into a specific life kingdom. As you click on the slides, the answers will come. So we have parrots. What kingdom are they in? They are in the kingdom Animalia. You have algae, which is in Protista. Okay, a tree. What kingdom? That is the kingdom Plantae. Those are bacteria. These are actually stained so you can see them. They used to be in Monarin, but we now leave them in bacteria. All right, for those of you who don't know, this is a sponge, not to be confused with the cartoon SpongeBob. The sponge is actually a living organism, and a sponge actually fits into the kingdom Animalia. Moss is in the plant kingdom. Okay, that single cell creature there is an amoeba, and an amoeba fits into the protist kingdom. And then over there, that is mold, and mold is in the fungi. These are more bacteria. Those are specifically the ones that live inside you right now. They're in your intestine. They're called E. coli. Now this is a sulfur hot spring on the edge of a volcano. Very, very hot, very, very acidic. Well, this is one of the few places that archaea like to live because they live in these horrible, extreme places. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's make sure that we get all of your reading done tonight and get your questions done in the review. If you have any questions, you can get me through Remind or through the classroom. And until next time, I'm Mr. Hitchcock. Be good, be safe. I'll be seeing you.